everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 worst Netflix movies. Yes, as you saw in my last video, I did my top 10 favorite or my top 10 best Netflix original films. Now it's time for the stinkers, the ash piles, the fucking garbage-filled piece of shit fucking films that I hate with a passion that are on Netflix. I will just flat out say this, I'm gonna say this right away, I haven't seen all the really bad Netflix movies. Trust me, I've seen some really bad ones, but I haven't seen all the bad ones. I know there's some really, pretty infamously, really shitty fucking films that are on Netflix. They're Netflix original films, and they're god-awful, but honestly, I can't always put myself through really god-awful films, because you know what? I like my brain, and I don't want my brain cells to rot while I'm watching these anus turds of films, so yeah, I've only seen a couple mediocre ones and some really, really bad ones. Like, I've seen some of the worst, but again, I haven't seen all the bad ones, so some movies might not be on this top 10 list, and you might think, oh, why isn't this movie on this list and stuff? Chances are, I probably haven't seen it. It's so kind of minimal that I don't really have a lot of dishonorable mentions. Actually, I only have 2 dishonorable mentions. By the way, let's get to that. Yes, and as always, for our top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. And my dishonorable mentions are Sandy Wexler and ARQ. And those are just really bad movies. They're not like awful. They're just kind of bad and generic and forgettable. But yeah, they just couldn't make the top 10 list. What named in my top 10 was my number 10. My number 10 is the Cloverfield Paradox. Yes, I know I just reviewed this movie and I gave it a 5 out of 10. I didn't think it was very good. And honestly, there are probably way worse films on Netflix than the Cloverfield Paradox. I just didn't like this movie, especially being a fan of 10 Cloverfield Lane, and even somewhat enjoying Cloverfield. This is a huge step down for the franchise, and I just didn't think it was very smart or profound or as clever as it thought it was and stuff. A lot of the movies didn't really make sense. I liked the main character. The main girl's really great in this movie, and the saddest thing is that actress is going to appear in another film that is on this top 10 list, which sucks because she's a very talented actress. Watch the movie Bells. She's fantastic in that film. But yeah, Cloverfield Paradox, I just didn't find it thrilling. The science was total bullshit, and most science fiction is bullshit, but you gotta make me buy into it and get sucked into it and stuff, and this movie, it felt lazy and very flat, and a lot of great actors in this movie, and they give pretty good performances, but their characters are just so one-dimensional and stuff. Like Daniel Bruhl's in this film, David Oyelowo, even Chris O'Dowd, and like there's a lot of big names in this film, and their characters are just such stock horror movie characters. They're just there to, say a few one-liners and just die and stuff, and just nothing about this movie was very compelling or riveting or even smart or edgy or just something different. It was a ripoff of like the movie Life and Alien and stuff, and yeah, it wasn't really clever, and again, it's trying to be a smart film, but it's not as smart as it really thinks it is. I like the main girl. She is really cool, and there's a couple cool ideas in the film, and the concept is pretty cool, because I like that every Cloverfield movie is like a different genre, but I think this movie fell flat, and I thought it was a very disappointing film, and that's why it's on this top 10 worst. One, I haven't seen as many bad films on Netflix, but again, I just found it a very disappointing film, and yeah, I didn't care for it. Coming in number 9 is, speaking of disappointing movies, Death Note. Death Note was definitely not a good movie. Again, the only good thing about this film was Willem Dafoe as Ryuk. That's it. This movie is not good. It's an American adaptation of a fantastic anime. Death Note is definitely in my top 10 favorite animes. Easily great show. Fantastic. Great manga. They made like Japanese remakes. They sucked. I guess you just can't make a movie adaptation of Death Note. I don't think it can be done. It's just a standalone show that's amazing. This movie got a lot of problems, and it's so Americanized in like the worst way possible and stuff, and Nat Wolff is terrible as Light, and the girl in it with him, she is also awful. The twist is so stupid, and how they did L in this movie really pissed me off. This guy is nothing like L. L is very emotionless. The reason he has like no emotion is because he's all intellect. He doesn't get emotionally compromised and stuff. He's kind of like Spock from Star Trek. But if Spock was an investigator, see, this L doesn't feel like the L in the show. He's very abrasive. He's very angry and stuff. He's so determined to the point he's almost insane and everything. And just it didn't feel like L, and it really didn't feel like Light either. And these two characters are some of my favorite characters in anime. They were portrayed horribly in this film, and I just did not like it. And the way they even did Light's family, I didn't like how they did that either. The only thing that was good and redeemable about this film was Ryuk. Willem Dafoe was fantastic. I wish there was more Ryuk and less of the love interest girl. I wish there was more Ryuk taunting Light and stuff and getting enjoyment out of this cat and mouse game like he does in the show, but instead, we got this really stupid, Americanized Death Note movie that I hope doesn't get a sequel, and yeah, it just wasn't that good. Coming in number 8 is Christmas Inheritance. Yes, Christmas Inheritance. Christmas Inheritance. I can't even say inheritance. Oh my god. Anyways, Christmas Inheritance. This is not a good film. I was quite annoyed by this movie. I watched 2 Netflix Christmas movies this past Christmas, and I thought they would both be really sappy, religious, and Hallmark movies is what they're called. I fucking hate Hallmark movies. My mother loves them, but I can't stand them, and I've seen quite a few of them, and they are mind-numbingly stupid. And this was a typical Hallmark Christmas movie. However, I did watch a movie called A Christmas Prince. Yeah, a movie with that title, it sounds stupid, but it had Rose McIver from iZombie in the movie. It was actually pretty good. It was actually not a bad movie, and it actually had a lot of Christmas wit and Christmas charm. And Rose McIver was good in the movie. It was actually a legit, decent Christmas movie. Then I watched this movie right after, and this is everything I was afraid of when it came to Christmas Prince. This is very manipulative, it's very sappy, very melodramatic, very cliched. Not a single joke works in this film. This movie just got on my nerves. I know there's positive reviews for this film, I don't get it. I don't like these characters. The whole movie feels very cheap. And again, it feels very manipulative and very sappy, and it's definitely a Hallmark Christmas movie. Coming in number 7 is The Do-Over. Yep, shit-stained Adam Sandler, of course. He popped up in the best list, The Meyerowitz Stories, such a good film. He's got a lot of bad ones on Netflix, and this is one of them, The Do-Over, with him and David Spade. 2 guys that actually are capable of being pretty funny. Not in this film. This film tries to be a little more raunchier and darker and cruder. It's stupid. Not funny. These 2 have no chemistry. They're friends in real life. How do they have no chemistry in this film, and they're actually friends in real life? The story makes no sense. The plot is ridiculous. It's flawed. It's muddled. It's stupid. I can't stand this movie. It's just every bad. This is just every bad Adam Sandler movie crammed into one. Just no jokes land. None of these characters are enjoyable or likable. And it's stupid, predictable, and I just fucking hated it. Coming in number 6 is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. This really hit me. It really stung this film because I love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Directed by Ang Lee, it's such a good movie. I love that film. Such an amazing film. Definitely one of Ang Lee's best. Brokeback Mountain didn't exist. That would probably be his best and shit like that. This was a bad sequel. I was kind of curious about it. Well, Chow Yun-Fat's obviously not in it. Spoilers. Michelle Yeoh's back though, and Donnie Yen's in the film, so this could be really cool and stuff. I'll give this movie a shot. It was bad. It had bad effects, really bad CGI. It had not good cinematography, pretty lame choreography, and kind of dull action sequences, and quite a pretty boring story and stuff. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was so stylistic and just had a very engaging story, and you loved all 3 of the main characters and stuff. This one, you could care less about anyone. The villain's generic, the heroes are generic, and Michelle Yeoh is so great in the first one, but she's so bland and just dull in this film. She's sleepwalking through this movie. She is just so phoned in this film. It's just not a good movie. Even the production, the costumes were really subpar. I love Crouch Tiger, Dragon, and this movie just didn't need to exist. Coming in number 5 is The Open House. Yes, The Open House. This is a bad movie. Like, I actually never heard of this film. A person at my work recommended me to watch this movie because they say, oh, this is a really bad film. Just check it out. It's a really bad film. I'm like, ooh, is it that bad? Ooh, is it entertainingly bad? No, it's just bad. Dylan Minette's in this film, and it's like this son and this mother, and they go to this open house. They're going to stay at this house. I think it's like her sister's house. And it's an open house for all people to check out their house. So they're staying there for the weekend while all these people are looking in their open house. And then there's like these creepy people spying on them. Then there's like this like murderer and shit like that. It's all sort of connected with their father. The father died in the beginning. Just, this whole movie makes no sense. Nothing about this movie makes sense. This is so clumsy and lazy, this film. It's muddled and makes no fucking sense. Half the time I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? Nothing in this movie makes sense. The characters' decisions make no sense. The things that happen make no sense. Why the people are doing this to these two main characters makes no sense. Nothing about this movie makes sense. I know everyone's like, oh, it's like a cult. Oh, there's ghosts. No matter what it is, it doesn't make sense because it's horribly written, it doesn't explain it properly, and even if it tried to do like a visual approach, it doesn't even do that properly. Nothing about this movie is scary or interesting or clever. It's just a really stupid, confusing, muddled horror thriller that shouldn't exist. Coming in number 4 is Irreplaceable You. Yes, I just watched this the other night, and I did a whole Stardust reaction on this. And yeah, check me out on Stardust. I just got a Stardust app. This is the reason why I did this list, is I watched this movie last night, and it pissed me the fuck off. Like, I was infuriated by this movie almost. It angered me. Like, what? This movie is ridiculous. And the shittiest thing is, it has a couple good things in it. Like, the main character, again, the girl who plays in the Cloverfield Paradox, she's great in Cloverfield Paradox. She's great in this movie, too. It gives a great performance, and she's, at times, very sympathetic. She's really good in this movie. Everything else about this movie sucks. The chemistry between her and her boyfriend is awful. They have such horrible chemistry. And I wish he wasn't even in it. The boyfriend is like the worst character in this movie. It's not because he's unlikable, it's just, he's so pointless. Like, he shouldn't have even been in this movie. This whole movie should have just been about her diagnosed with cancer and her dealing with it and her weird narrations. Even her narrations were awkward and cringy at times. The comedy fails across the board. And there's a lot of big actors in this movie too. They have Christopher Walken, Kate McKinnon in this film. A lot of big actors in this movie. None of them are really good or even remotely funny. Steve Coogan's also in this movie too. I don't know, it's the way they talk about cancer in this film. They try to do it in a comedic approach like 50-50. And it fails. It comes off very distasteful. And it's more awkward and cringy than actually funny. 50-50 was a perfect ground. It was deep, moving, but also very, very funny. This was not deep, this was not romantic, this wasn't likable or enjoyable, and it definitely wasn't funny. It definitely a film, it really annoyed me. Like, I was almost getting angry. Even some of the decisions these characters make are stupid. Even the whole thing that this girl's trying to do, she's trying to find a future wife for her fiance because she's gonna die, and she wants him to get married to another girl, and it's just like, well, like, what? Stupid. That makes no sense and shit like that. Even when she has the friendship with Christopher Walken, I didn't buy their friendship. And even Christopher Walken in the movie, he looked bored most of this film. It was kind of a ridiculous movie. It sucks because the main girl is so good in this. She's really good. She's giving it her all in this movie. She's a great actress, but this movie was really bad. Coming in number 3 is The True Memoirs of an International Assassin. Again, say that 7 times fast. Holy shit. Garbage. Yeah, it's Kevin James is an assassin. It's a Happy Madison movie. He's about to save the day. It's fucking Kevin James. It's Paul Blart, but assassin Paul Blart. Oh, this movie's dumb. Like, what else do I gotta say about this movie? It's Kevin James in a Netflix movie. It's just as bad, probably even worse than The Do-Over. The comedy doesn't land, the acting doesn't land, Shitty villain, shitty love interest, shitty storytelling, shitty jokes, no good anything. Even the shots and editing and production all sucked. This movie's just garbage, obviously. Coming in number 2 is Take the 10. Take the 10. I watched this movie a few days ago because I was kind of bored and I wanted to watch some random movies on Netflix. I regretted putting this movie on. This has Josh Peck. My god, he was also in ATM, one of the worst horror films. This movie's fucking stupid. The comedy is a joke. It's not like a funny joke, like it's a joke that someone actually wrote this down and thought it was funny. That's the joke, that's the real joke. This movie was painful. This is literally the dumbest comedy that is on Netflix other than my number 1. Actually, speaking of my number 1, and my number 1 least favorite and what I think is the worst movie that is on Netflix is The Ridiculous Six. The Ridiculous Six. I will fully admit right now, this is the only film that I have on this top 10 list that I did not finish. Just saying that right now. I could not finish this movie. This is coming from a guy who's finished The Last Airbender, Jaws the Revenge. I finish movies. I do. I really do. I finish films. This movie I could not finish. I watched this movie a couple years ago. It was so dumb, I couldn't take any more of it. I watched the ending. I fast forward to the ending because I wanted to see, I had to see what happened to this ending. Obviously, I wanted to see what happened to these amazing characters. But yeah, I watched the first hour, couldn't take it. Fast forward to the end, I'm like, how's this stupid fucking thing end? I'm like, oh, that's how it ends. Fucking stupid. Yeah. This is not a good movie. This is like one of the worst Adam Sandler films, other than Jack and Jill. This is like one of the worst Adam Sandler films you will ever suffer through. Like, this feels like it was written by a 12-year-old. No. A 10-year-old. No. A 5-year-old. A 5-year-old who is clearly not okay in the head. Like, this is so juvenile, so stupid, so pandering, so ridiculous. It's called The Ridiculous Six, for God's sakes, but it's fucking retarded. This movie is so bad. The jokes are so ridiculous. The slapstick, just, my god, the Three Stooges would shoot themselves if they saw the slapstick in this fucking movie. Everything about this movie was painful. Like, the whole Adam Sandler cast is in this movie, including Taylor Lautner. And they're awful. This is a stupid cowboy movie. Tries to be like another Magnificent Seven, but maybe a clever spoof. Kind of like how Galaxy Quest did to Star Trek. Yeah, this movie wishes it was Galaxy Quest. This is just a stupid, ridiculous film, and easily the worst thing I've ever suffered through on Netflix. So yeah, that was my top 10 worst movies on Netflix, in my opinion. Say in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, give me your guys' top 10s. What do you think are the top 10 worst Netflix original movies in your guys' opinion? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.